This is the book of 1 Timothy chapter 4 and verse 8 in the AMP. It reads, "For physical training is of some value, but godliness, spiritual training, is of value in everything and in every way, since it holds promise for the present life and for the life to come." Shalom, shalom, akim. Kol holo Yahweh Bahashim, Yahushai Bahashim Rachakodash. And the honor to the elders and apostles of the great millstone, Haru and Teachville. Peace, blessings, and salutations unto the hopeful elect who believe in truth and sincerity, and to the few sincere aquas who are becoming of woman that say shalom. I'm the brother Gabaria Allah coming at you with another lesson. Alright, and today's lesson is going to be entitled, Spiritual Training is the Way of Life. Alright, spiritual training is the way of life. Okay, because that's really what it is. You know, spiritual training, being in this ministry, constantly having to improve yourself is ultimately what we have to do. You know, every single day. We have to constantly, do our best to please the Lord in any way. Some days the Spirit's going to be on you to do great things. Okay? Someday the Spirit's going to have you to go to camp for an extra 30 minutes, to do a separate camp. Sometimes the Spirit is going to have you to make a lesson before camp or after camp, and some days the Lord is going to put the Spirit on you to study a little bit more, to be more attentive in your studies, to do something greater, and there's going to be some days where, you don't do as much, okay? And those days where you don't do as much, consider those days where you go to the gym, okay, and you have a workout, but you could have went harder. You're like, man, I didn't give it my all today, but you still worked out. You still grow, you still grew. But you understand that, okay, I should have went harder. And there's gonna be some days where you don't study as much as you could have. There's gonna be some days where you did some stuff, you were busy with worldly stuff or whatever, and at the end of the day, you pop a lesson, but the point is, there shouldn't be a single day where you do nothing for the Lord. There shouldn't be a single day where even so much as not even a single video, or not even a single video was watched, or you didn't do anything. There shouldn't ever be a day where that is the case. Okay? Because I'm going to read it again. 1 Timothy chapter 4 and verse 8. In the ASV it reads, it's like in the AMP it reads, "For physical training is of some value." Okay? So when you're training physically, it gives you value. You're gaining something from it. You do bicep curls, your fucking bicep pops up. You're doing bicep curls, you get that pump, them veiny ass biceps. Okay, you do some damn JM presses, your triceps start blowing up, you get a good pump. That profits you. Okay, that gives you something. But godliness, spiritual training, is of value in everything and in every way. Right, man? And that's a fact. So just imagine all those times you went to the gym. All those times you worked out. You can't really notice it day by day. When you're doing bicep curls and you're doing arm days and shit. You're doing leg days and whatnot. You can't really see it, that day, but it accumulates. It accumulates over time. Same thing with spiritual training. You don't really, it isn't like overnight, you just, boom, all this is poured on you. No, it takes time. The Lord has to sup with you. The Lord has to marinate these things in you. Some days you're not going to have it as good as other days. And that's part of the condemning yourself. You shouldn't condemn yourself for shit like that. Yes, you should always strive to be better, but you can't condemn yourself for, things, because we are ultimately in this world, fighting the spiritual fight, and with the spiritual training, you get stronger. Okay, so when these demons hop on you, telling you ain't the man of the Yahweh, Shem Yahushai, telling you ain't doing this, telling you ain't doing that, your spiritual self is strong enough to say, nah, fuck that. That's a demon. And some people, they weren't training spiritually. So guess what happened? As soon as those demons hopped on them, they fell out the truth. Because they weren't exercising that inner man. There's a saying that says the real enemy is the inner me. Okay? And when you say inner me slow enough, it sounds like enemy. Inner me. Enemy. So you have to grow that inner self. For you, for Yahweh Shem Yahushai, man, and to fight them demons. Alright, it says, for physical training is of some value, but godliness, spiritual training, is of value in everything and in every way. Right? It values in everything and in every way. Okay? No matter what it is you're doing, you're growing that inner self, you're going to grow a whole lot more. In this world too, man. Think about it. Think about it, the type of shit you was doing in this world, and think about it, the type of man you are now in this ministry. Shit, when I was in the world, I had, I had worth ethic. I had a good worth ethic. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I did have, a semi-good worth ethic, but it's not like now, man. When the Lord sups with you and gives you that spirit, you just a dog, man. You do whatever it takes. You wake your ass up. Sometimes you fall short of the glory. You oversleep. Okay? But most of the time, you wake your ass up. Because guess what? That inner self needs that growing. Sometimes you're not going to get that 8 hours of sleep. Sometimes you're going to get 4 hours of sleep. Sometimes you're going to get 3 hours of sleep. Some brothers go to camp with no sleep that night, man. And they got work the next fucking day. That's that inner self. That's how much that inner self was grown. Any person in this world would not do that. No one. But a man of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai would. Why is that? Why are the men of the Lord such valiant men? Why are his men such hard workers? Why are his men such you can feel their spirit. The men of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai weren't no fucking chumps, man. There was real valiant men. Men who weren't afraid of fighting. Men who weren't afraid of getting down. Now you have men nowadays who aren't really men. They're scared of confrontations. They don't want to confront nothing. They don't want to do nothing. They're scared little cowards. Because that inner self is so fucking weak, man. It says, since it holds promise for the present life and for the life to come. Exactly. Growing your spiritual self is going to land you into a chariot, man. Of course, if Yahweh Shem Yahushai allows it. Because once you grow that inner self, you have faith in Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Like no other. It says, that's it on that. It's a lock here. All right, now I'm going to grab Slacky, bear with me about Bakasha. Because it's very important to get this grounded in your head, man. All right. Slovakia. Slovakia, but with me, Baba Kasha. They don't want to pop up no more, man. Doggone it, man. This is the book of Ephesians chapter 4 and verse 13. Till we all come in the unity of the faith and of the knowledge of the Son of power, unto a perfect man, unto the measure of the stature of the fullness of Hamashiach. Right? We have to come to the unity of the faith, man. You have to be able to be like-minded to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. You know, be grown in the spirit. Okay? I'm going to grab it again in the Easy English Bible. It says, in that way, all of us will become united like one person. We will all believe in Yahushai and the Son of Yahweh. We will all know him. We will become like a man who has grown up well. We will be completely as Yahweh wants us to be, just like Hamashiach, Yahushai himself. Exactly, man. So you have to grow that inner self, first and foremost, man. So, hey, brothers, Lord willing was edifying. Salakia. It took me a little while to grab the precept, man. I thought I had found one, but you know how it is, man. So, Lord willing was edifying. Lord willing was uplifting. Call Allah, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Chakwadash. And double honor to the elders and apostles of the great millstone who rule and teach for yet again. Peace, blessings, and salutations.